Hello friends, welcome to the Anteam Code YouTube channel. Today we will explore the concept of consciousness. But first, let's understand what consciousness is. Consciousness is the ability to be aware of our thoughts, emotions, and surroundings and to reflect on them. In simple words, it is the awareness of one's own existence. In the language of spirituality, consciousness is often referred to as Atman or soul. In this video, the terms consciousness, Atman, and soul will be used interchangeably. The materialistic view, which is the perspective of modern science, considers consciousness to be a result of the brain's physical processes. According to this view, consciousness arises from the complex interactions of neurons and their biochemical activities. Simply put, our brain, which is a physical entity, creates consciousness. In this process, there is nothing non-material involved. If we accept this viewpoint, then we must also accept that we do not have free will or the freedom to make independent decisions, as every decision would have a material cause behind it. This implies that no society or legal system should hold us accountable for our actions. Yet, in reality, society always holds individuals responsible for their choices. This reveals a kind of hypocrisy. Now let's see how Advaita Vedanta challenges the traditional materialistic view of consciousness. According to Advaita Vedanta, Atman is Brahman. The Atman is referred to as individual consciousness, while Brahman is considered universal consciousness. While the Atman is bound by time and space, Brahman transcends them. This means that individual consciousness is limited to the physical body, while universal consciousness is omnipresent. In reality, Atman, which is individual consciousness, and Brahman, which is universal consciousness, are one and the same, but due to ignorance, they appear separate. To explain this further, consider the analogy of the ocean and a wave. Brahman symbolizes the vastness of the ocean, while a wave represents Atman. The wave emerges from the ocean, is sustained by it, and eventually merges back into it. Although the wave is a part of the ocean, it appears separate while it exists as a wave. When the wave merges back into the ocean, it loses its individuality and becomes one with the ocean. Similarly, due to ignorance and ego, the Atman perceives itself as separate from Brahman. When it attains self-realization, it understands that it is indeed a part of Brahman. Upon this realization, the individuality of the Atman dissolves, and it merges into Brahman. Thus, Brahman and Atman, though appearing distinct, are essentially the same. This is difficult for us to comprehend because our logical mind has limitations. It is challenging for us to accept that the material cause, which is what something is made from, and the efficient cause, which is the creator or maker, can be the same entity. Our traditional beliefs have taught us to distinguish between things. For example, the sculptor and the statue, the painter and the painting, or the carpenter and the table. The material cause refers to the substance used, like clay, paint, or wood, while the efficient cause is the one who shapes or creates, like the sculptor, painter, or carpenter. Let me illustrate how the material cause and the created object can be one and the same. Consider the example of the Araneus spider, also known as the European garden spider. This spider produces silk from a gland in its abdomen, which it uses to spin webs for catching prey. After some time, the spider may consume the web it has created. In this analogy, the spider represents Brahman, and the web represents Atman. The silk gland is the material cause, the spider is the efficient cause, and the web is the product, all originating from the spider itself. Here, the spider consuming the web symbolizes Atman merging with Brahman. Advaita Vedanta views consciousness as immaterial, asserting that individual consciousness is a part of universal consciousness. Therefore, the consciousness of all living beings is interconnected. In contrast, the materialistic approach considers consciousness to be a product of the brain, with each person's consciousness being separate and unconnected. Now let's look at a living example that challenges the conventional boundaries of individual consciousness. Tatiana and Krista Hogan, born in Canada in 2006, are craniopagus twins, meaning their heads are fused together. Their brains are connected by a thin band of neural tissue, which links their thalami, an important part of the brain. This connection allows the sisters to share certain conscious experiences. They can see through each other's eyes, feel each other's pain, taste each other's food, and even read each other's thoughts to some extent. Their shared experiences present a new perspective on the existence of interconnected consciousness. This case illustrates how the conscious mind is influenced by physical connections in the brain, suggesting that if something at a universal level connects all beings, it could potentially affect the consciousness of all living things. That something could be quantum fields, which are essentially invisible waves or vibrations present throughout space and time, even in a vacuum. According to quantum field theory, all particles in the universe are dynamic manifestations or excitations of these underlying fields. Our brains, being made up of particles, are also composed of these quantum fields. Since quantum fields pervade the entire universe, if we accept the materialistic view that consciousness arises from brain function, we must also acknowledge that quantum fields play a role in creating consciousness in all living beings. This would imply that the consciousness of all living beings is interconnected through quantum fields, influencing one another. However, it's important to note that quantum fields exist within time and space, making them part of the physical world and thus part of the illusion of separateness. I have used the analogy of the brain and quantum fields to help explain the non-dual nature of Atman and Brahman as understood in Advaita Vedanta. This also demonstrates that even if we approach consciousness from a materialistic perspective, at the universal level, it remains fundamentally the same. That concludes our discussion for this video. See you in the next one. Thank you for watching.